Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you're tuned in, you know that the Lions are in one of the most exciting phases of their recent history. After making the playoffs last season and showing real flashes of brilliance, Detroit has been quietly plotting their next moves in what promises to be a pivotal offseason. And trust me, what's brewing right now could redefine their entire trajectory for years to come. We're talking about potential trades, strategic signings, and a real push towards contending for the Super Bowl. But the big question is, what exactly is next for the Lions? And what moves could shake up the NFC North even further? Let's start by looking at the current state of this team. Detroit, under the guidance of head coach Dan Campbell and general manager Brad Holmes, has built a roster that's both talented and hungry. Jared Goff has shown he can lead this team with consistency, and the offense, led by a young and dynamic core, has been pretty impressive. But one of the key areas where Detroit has struggled, and where they're looking to upgrade, is pass rushing. The Lions have some solid players on the defensive line, but when it comes to getting after the quarterback consistently, they've been a bit lacking outside of Aiden Hutchinson. And that's no surprise, because Hutchinson, in his second year, has already established himself as one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. But beyond him, the Lions have been searching for that complementary edge rusher who can take some of the pressure off Hutchinson and create chaos on the edges. And here's where things get really interesting. Rumors have been swirling that Detroit is eyeing a reunion with Zadarius Smith, a player who's had a significant impact when healthy. Smith, a four-time Pro Bowler, has the talent and experience to be that game-changing outside linebacker or defensive end that Detroit desperately needs. His ability to rush the passer, bat down passes, and set the edge could be exactly what the Lions need to elevate their defense to the next level. But here's the thing. Bringing Smith back would be a strategic move, especially considering the Lions' current cap situation and draft capital. It's a move that could pay huge dividends, but it's not the only option on the table. In fact, there's a fascinating scenario that's been floated around, a multi-team blockbuster trade that could reshape the NFC North and shake up the entire league's balance of power. And folks, this isn't just some fantasy. It's a real possibility that could happen if the right pieces fall into place. CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin, a guy who knows a thing or two about NFL trade speculation, recently laid out some wild trade proposals, and one of the most eye-catching involves Detroit in a major way. Imagine a four-team trade where Detroit would acquire a four-time Pro Bowl pass rusher, a player who could immediately upgrade their front seven, and give Hutchinson that veteran partner he needs to dominate. Now, before I get into the specifics, I want to pause here for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick, and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let's continue with the big reveal. So this trade involves the Lions, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Cleveland Browns. It's complicated, but that's what makes it so exciting. The centerpiece of this deal would be Detroit acquiring Trey Hendrickson, a player coming off back-to-back 17.5-sack seasons, and finishing second in Defensive Player of the Year voting just last year. Hendrickson, with his explosiveness and relentless pass-rushing ability, could be the perfect complement to Hutchinson and help turn Detroit's pass rush from good to elite. But the trade wouldn't be just a one-way street. It would involve some significant swaps. The Bengals, for example, would get Justin Jefferson, the superstar receiver who's arguably the most dangerous offensive weapon in the league right now. Jefferson, a former LSU teammate of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, would instantly boost Cincinnati's offense and help them contend for a deep playoff run. The Bengals would also get a defensive end, Julian Okwara, from the Browns, who's shown flashes but still needs to stay healthy and consistent. On the other side, the Vikings, who are in a bit of a rebuild mode, would get T. Higgins, another stellar receiver, to pair with their existing offensive weapons. They'd also receive Greg Newsome II, a talented cornerback, and a couple of future draft picks to help them build for the future. But the real prize for Detroit here is Trey Hendrickson. With his ability to produce double-digit sacks and pressure quarterbacks relentlessly, he could be the perfect piece to pair with Hutchinson, creating a formidable duo that opposing offenses would fear. Plus, this move would send a message to the NFC North and the league as a whole that Detroit is serious about contending. It's a bold move, yes, but in the NFL, boldness often translates into championships. Now, why would the Lions be willing to make such a big move? Well, the answer is simple. They're in a win-now window. Jared Goff has proven that he can lead this team to the playoffs, and with the core they've built on offense and defense, they're aiming at nothing less than a deep postseason run. The addition of a player like Hendrickson could be the final piece needed to push them over the top. And let's not forget, Detroit has already been aggressive this offseason, trading up in the draft to land Isaac T-Slaw, a promising receiver, and holding on to a strong draft capital package for future moves. Of course, this kind of trade isn't without its risks. The Lions would have to give up draft picks, which are crucial for building depth and long-term success. Trading away future assets always brings some level of uncertainty, but this is a franchise that's clearly in a hurry to compete now. And with the cap space and flexibility they've built, they could make it work. Looking ahead, this potential move isn't just about upgrading the roster. It's about sending a message to the rest of the NFC that the Detroit Lions are serious contenders. With players like Hutchinson, Goff, and now adding Hendrickson, the Lions could very well be on the cusp of a new era, one where they're not just playoff participants, but real Super Bowl contenders. Fans should be excited because the team's front office has shown that they're not afraid to make bold moves to win. And in the NFL, especially in today's climate, that's what separates the contenders from the pretenders. As we analyze the current roster, Detroit's depth at certain positions is notable, but the need for that elite pass rusher outside of Hutchinson is undeniable. The draft helped, but free agency and trades are where teams often find their game-changing players. The Lions have been strategic, and this trade scenario, though ambitious, perfectly encapsulates their mindset of winning now while still planning for the future. It's a delicate balance, but one that could pay off big time if executed correctly. In terms of the NFC North, this kind of move would shake things up significantly. The division has been relatively stable, with the Vikings, Packers, and Bears all working through their own transitions. The Vikings, for example, are in a rebuilding phase, trying to find their new identity after trading away key players. The Packers are in a bit of flux after losing Aaron Rodgers, and the Bears are still building around Justin Fields. But Detroit's aggressive stance could tip the scales, making them the team to beat in the division. And of course, the ripple effect could impact the entire NFC playoff picture, as Detroit positions itself as a true contender. Now, for all you Lions fans out there, I want to remind you that this offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory. The team is clearly not settling for mediocrity, and they're willing to make bold moves to chase that coveted Super Bowl ring. Whether it's re-signing key players, drafting promising talent, or pulling off blockbuster trades like the one we just discussed, Detroit is showing that they're all in on their championship aspirations. And as fans, that's exactly the kind of energy we want to see. So, as we keep an eye on what unfolds in the coming weeks, remember that the Lions are in a prime position to make a splash. The potential trade for Trey Hendrickson, or even a similar move, could be the catalyst that propels them into serious Super Bowl contention. We've seen teams make big moves before, and sometimes those moves define eras. Detroit's front office has the opportunity to do just that if they seize the moment. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential trade? Do you believe Detroit should go all in to land Hendrickson? Or do you think they should focus on building through the draft and free agency? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news. This is an exciting time, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for our team. Keep rooting, keep believing, because the best is yet to come.